Good morning, everyone. We're continuing here in the Hilchas KASHRUS of Rabbi Yamin Forst, and we're in the Hagdama, the introduction to Makor, to why there is a prohibition in eating the food of the non-Jews. Again, even if it would be kosher food that was cooked by the non-Jews, it's going to be a problem. And we spoke about yesterday the idea that Hashem wants to create a distance between us and the nations and the goyim of this world, that Klal Yisrael remains proud of who they are. We remain separate, and we remain a nation that understands the precious position that we have in this world as being the Am HaNivchar, the chosen nation. L'chein, therefore, kasher anu miskarvim l'goy haaretz, when we, the Jewish people, end up getting too close to the nations of the world, heim doichim oisanu, they begin pushing us away. And they force us to separate from them. And this has been history repeating itself again and again since we were originally thrown into the Golus, into the exile amongst the Goyim. In all of the different periods of the sins that we have done when we stumbled, and we broke the wall that was separating between us and the nations around us. Every single country that we went into over the years of Golus, of exile, when we went in there, we would come as a nation that was protected and that was by itself, that was separate. But then eventually we made the mistake and we began to make pirzas, we made holes in the walls of protection. We began to break down the barriers that were separating us, between us and the nations of the world. Savalnu harbe min hagoyim, and as a result of that, we have had to endure tremendous suffering at the hands of the goyim, shalei ratzu kirvasenu, because they don't want us to be close to them. This is the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up the world. Hashem wants us to be separate. He wants us to remain to ourselves. He doesn't want us to become too friendly and too comfortable and assimilated with the non-Jewish world. But He placed in the teva, in the nature of a non-Jew, they don't want us close to them either. And when they see us moving in too much to society and becoming leaders of the culture and the entertainment world and the government and science and art and law and medicine and the like, it begins to drive them crazy, and they do what they can to drive us away. And as much as we forget about the distance that we are supposed to keep between us and between them, so then they will come in that exact way to remind us that we are supposed to be separate from them, and they will do whatever they need to do to make that point. This has happened many times in our history, until the Holocaust, the last of the Holocaust that we know from the 1930s and 40s, that horrific period in the history of the Jewish people, where Hitler Yamach Shemoy did everything within his abilities to remind the Jewish people, you are Jews and we are not, and stay away from us because we don't want you here. He gassed, he killed, he destroyed, he shamed, he embarrassed, he made images of the Jewish people to remind the world what a Jew is and to remind the Jewish people who we are. And in that way, the Goyim push us away. Why? When we get too close to them. And as we're going to see in the final part of the introduction, that is why we are going to do our best in the world of achila, of eating and the like, to remain separate from the non-Jews, because there's something very powerful about the act of eating and of drinking that seemingly breaks down the barriers and the walls between the Jew and the non-Jew, and leads, Rachmana litzlan, to total disaster for our nation. Have a wonderful day, and we'll continue in the words of the Hagdam, of the introduction, tomorrow.